You're listening to ECHOCAST. This episode delves into the silent pains of childhood. We carry experience and wounds from our early years that are often deeply buried in our psyche. Simple events can trigger these hidden memories, causing them to resurface unexpectedly. In this session, we'll briefly discuss these early experiences and their effects. You first hear one part from the book Reinventing Your Life, and then selections from A Letter to His Father by Kafka.
A life trap is a pattern that starts in childhood and reverberates throughout life. It began with something that was done to us by our families or by other children. We were abandoned, criticized, overprotected, abused, excluded, or deprived. We were damaged in some way. Eventually, the life trap becomes part of us. Long after we leave the home we grew up in, we continue to create situations in which we are mistreated, ignored, put down, or controlled, and in which we fail to reach our most desired goals. Life traps determine how we think, feel, act, and relate to others. They trigger strong feelings such as anger, sadness, and anxiety. Even when we appear to have everything, social status, an ideal marriage, the respect of people close to us, career success, we are often unable to savor life or believe in our accomplishments.
There is only one episode from those early years that I remember directly. Perhaps you remember it too. I was whining persistently for water one night. Certainly not because I was thirsty, but in all probability partly to be annoying, partly to amuse myself. After a number of fierce threats had failed, you lifted me out of my bed, carried me out onto the porch, and left me a while all alone, standing outside the locked door in my nightshirt. I do not mean to say that this was wrong of you. Perhaps at that time there really was no other way of having a peaceful night. But I mention it as a characteristic example of the way you brought me up and the effect it had on me. This incident almost certainly made me obedient for a time, but it damaged me on the inside. I was by nature unable to reconcile the simple act, as it seemed to me, of casually asking for water with the utter horror of being carried outside. Years later, it still tormented me that this giant man, my father, the ultimate authority, could enter my room at any time and almost unprovoked carry me from my bed out onto the porch, and that I meant so little to him. That was merely the beginning of things. But this feeling of powerlessness, which still regularly overcomes me, in other respects admittedly a noble and productive feeling, stems in many ways from how you treated me. What I needed was a little encouragement, a little friendliness, a little help to keep my future open. Instead, you obstructed it, admittedly with the good intention of persuading me to go down a different path. But I was not fit for the path you chose. And then your voice.
So growing up, my parents did not allow us, and I mean like me and my other siblings, to sit around older people, especially during funerals, or when they gather, because it wasn't something culturally respectful, and it wasn't a good thing to listen to what the older people were talking about. So we were always separated from them. We were just asked to greet them and then go back to our rooms or just like go play with kids our age. And I felt like that has or still have a significant impact on like my personality, because I wasn't able to form like a good relationship with my teachers in school, or like even in high school, or even at the university. I always felt like teachers and like professors, I have to treat them very formally. I can't like be their friends, or like just have like a conversation with them that lasts more than 5 minutes, and it's not about something academic. So, and even right now at work, I feel like my colleague at work or my colleagues at work can talk to or laugh with the manager. They can like just be spontaneous with them, and I cannot. Even though I'm a very spontaneous person, but I cannot. So, you know, um, this is one of the things that still remain uh, within myself, and it can like affect my relationship with the other older people than me. But I'm trying to do my best.
Just imagine growing up in a system and then, you're being taken away from the things that you know and the things that you don't understand and being placed with somebody else who's supposed to be a better environment and they're not. Just imagine how that would make you feel. I actually ran into them at the grocery store and I just said, hey, by the way, just to let you know, I'm actually a therapist and a fashion model in the making. So thank you for telling me I wasn't enough, because I'm everything I'm supposed to be and more. Find your place, your purpose, and this peace within this life. This life is going to be anything that you allow it to be. We all are people. We all are here to experience. We all are here to feel. We all are here to understand. So no matter who, what, when, where, and why these people say the things they say to you, understand that you have your own path that you're supposed to live. And with God's given gifts, talent, and understanding, you're going to find that place just as much as I did.
If I were in their place, I would have been more validating emotionally to myself. I would have allowed more space for me to express myself and explore my emotions and the range of my emotions, so that I could understand that it was okay to feel certain ways and to feel and be with that emotion, rather than the idea that you push it down, set it aside, or make yourself busy so that you don't have to manage that emotion. And that is still to this day one of my mother's coping mechanisms, is to stay busy or moving so as to kind of continuously be able to run away from your emotions.
My father was an alcoholic. Mean fucking drunk. He'd come home hammered, looking to wail on somebody. So I'd provoke him so he wouldn't go after my mother and little brother. Interesting nights were when he wore his rings.
He used to just put a wrench, a stick, and a belt on the table and just say choose.
Well, I gotta go with the belt there, Vanna.
I used to go with the wrench.
Why the wrench?
Just fuck him. That's why.
Your foster father.
Yeah. So, what is it like? Will has an attachment disorder? Is it all that stuff? Fear of abandonment?
I don't know about. You see this? Holy shit. It's not your fault. Look at me, son. It's not your fault.
I know.
It's not your fault.
I know.
No, you don't. It's not your fault.
I know.
It's not your fault.
All right.
Don't fuck with me. It's not your fault. Don't fuck with me, all right? Don't fuck with me, Sean. Not you. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Oh my God. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Fuck them, okay?
You have just heard a scene from the movie Good Will Hunting. Next, you will hear a part from the animated film Shark Music. And goodbye.
This girl and her father have been enjoying time together in the park, but suddenly aware of the time, Dad says, "We need to go." When the girl hears this, she starts crying and gets increasingly angry. All at once, the dad's background music changes. The background music that is playing for the father right now, we call shark music. As it turns out, the dad's own mother was uncomfortable with loud displays of emotion, and she didn't know how to handle them. So throughout his childhood, she repeatedly told her son it was pathetic to cry, and she never ever asked him about his feelings of sadness or anger. His ability to deal with his daughter's emotion now is greatly affected by the experience with his mother then. Shark music, we're rarely aware it's playing, but it's our past experiences telling us to be afraid of or uncomfortable with a feeling or need that is actually safe. When our shark music limits our ability to respond to these feelings, our children learn to hide or feel ashamed of them. This is a problem because we're teaching our children to fear emotions that are actually both safe and essential in life. Most of us experience shark music with one emotion or another, and it's different for everyone. But whenever it is triggered, our ability to respond to our children's needs is limited. The good news is, by simply calling it by name and reflecting on what our children need in the moment, we can turn down our shark music. This is so important because if we can learn to manage our history of negative experiences and perceptions, we can respond to the truth of our child's current situation and be with them in it. Ultimately, this will help our children grow up with a better ability to understand and share more of the emotions they experience. There's no escaping it. Strong feelings are a challenge to manage as parents, but our children always benefit when we have an accurate response to what's happening, rather than reacting to the shark music we're bringing into the relationship. Remember, there's no such thing as perfect parenting, and blame never helped anyone feel more secure. That includes blaming ourselves. But the more often we can identify our shark music, the better off our children will be.